All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are diving into a huge question, one we all struggle with. How does real, lasting change actually work? We're going to break down the brilliant ideas from James Clear's Atomic Habits and see how these smallest, tiniest actions can lead to a truly remarkable life. So let's get right into it.
Okay, let's start with just this number, 37 times. What does that even mean? Well, that's what happens when you get just 1% better every single day for a year. It's not about some huge heroic effort. It's about tiny, consistent improvements that compound over time into something, well, something incredible. And that right there is the core idea of Atomic Habits.
And this quote, this is basically the whole book in one sentence. Look, most of us are obsessed with goals, right? We want to lose weight, or write a book, or learn a new skill. But Clear's big argument is that goals aren't the thing. It's your systems, your daily habits, that actually determine if you succeed. You know, winners and losers often have the exact same goals. The winners just have better systems.
So this is what it all comes down to, focusing on your trajectory, not some big overnight transformation. Just imagine an airplane flying from LA to New York City. If the pilot changes the heading by just a few tiny degrees at takeoff, you wouldn't even feel it. But hours later, you wouldn't land in New York. You'd end up hundreds of miles away in Washington, D.C. That tiny change at the start completely redefines the destination. That is the power of 1%.
So forget about that one massive effort. It's all about mastering the art of just showing up, day in and day out. The real goal is to become the kind of person who just does the small things. Because that foundation, that's what everything else is built on. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually build these systems? This is where it gets really practical. The book gives us a super simple but really profound framework for engineering our own habits, and it's all broken down into 4 laws. Let's take a look at how it all works. First, you gotta understand what's going on in your brain with literally every habit you have, good or bad. It's this 4-step loop. There's a cue, which is the trigger. That leads to a craving, which is the motivation. That drives the response, the actual habit. And finally, you get a reward, which tells your brain, hey, that was good, let's do it again. And boom, this is where the 4 laws come in. You can see how they map perfectly onto that loop. Each law is basically a lever we can pull to take control of one of those steps. So if we want to build a good habit, we just make the cue obvious, the craving attractive, the response easy, and the reward satisfying. This is our playbook.
All right, enough theory. Let's get practical. We're going to walk through each of these 4 laws for building good habits, and I'll give you one really clear, actionable technique you can use for each one.
Okay, law number 1, make it obvious. This one is all about the cue, the trigger. And the simplest way to do this is with a technique called habit stacking. You're basically just piggybacking a new habit you want to start onto a habit that's already wired into your brain.
And the formula is just this simple. After my current habit, I will do my new habit. So making coffee, that's the habit you already have, you just stack meditating for 1 minute right on top of it. You never have to decide when to do it. The system just runs itself.
Next up, law number 2, make it attractive. This is all about tackling the craving part of the loop. And a super powerful way to make a habit you're avoiding feel irresistible is with something called temptation bundling. You just pair something you need to do with something you really want to do. The logic here is brilliant. You love your favorite podcast, right? But maybe you dread exercising. Well, you bundle them. The rule becomes you're only allowed to listen to that podcast while you're working out. Pretty soon, your brain starts to actually look forward to the workout because it gets that hit of enjoyment. It makes the whole thing so much more attractive. Law number 3, make it easy, is designed to crush the biggest obstacle of all, just getting started. The 2-minute rule is your secret weapon. You shrink any new habit down until it takes less than 2 minutes to do. Remember, the goal on day 1 isn't perfection, it's just to show up. So instead of that intimidating goal of reading 30 pages a day, you make it so easy you can't say no. Your new goal is to read 1 page, or do 1 push-up, or just put on my running shoes. Anyone can do that. You're not trying to achieve the outcome yet, you're just trying to make showing up the habit. The rest will absolutely follow. And finally, we have the law that closes the loop. Make it satisfying. See, our brains are wired to want rewards right now. The problem is the rewards for most good habits are delayed. So habit tracking is the hack. It gives you that little immediate hit of satisfaction that your brain craves.
I mean, it is so simple, but it is so powerful. That physical act of putting a big X on a calendar just feels good. It's real, visual proof that you're making progress. And once you get a little chain of those X's going, you get a brand new motivation. Just don't break the chain.
Okay, so that's all for building good habits. But what about getting rid of the bad ones? Well, here's the beautiful part of this whole framework. You don't need a new set of rules. You just take the 4 laws we just learned and you flip them upside down.
It's this really elegant, perfect mirror image. To break a bad habit, you just do the opposite. Instead of making it obvious, you make the cue invisible. You want to stop mindlessly scrolling on your phone? Put it in another room. Make it unattractive. Make it difficult. Make it unsatisfying. It's the exact same logic, just in reverse. Now, all these techniques and tricks are incredibly powerful, but they're all in service of a much deeper, more profound idea about how change really truly sticks for the long haul. This is where we need to zoom out a bit.
This is the ultimate level of change, identity-based habits. Here, the focus completely shifts away from what you want to achieve and toward who you want to become. You're no longer fighting with yourself to force a behavior. You're simply acting in a way that's aligned with your new identity.
Just think about how powerful this is. Every time you lace up your shoes and go for a run, even a short one, you are casting a vote for, I am a runner. Every time you pick up a book and read just one page, you're casting a vote for, I am a reader. These tiny habits start to build up a body of evidence for who you really are.
And that really brings us back to you. The goal here isn't just to hear this information, it's to actually apply it. So the real question is this: what is the one tiny, atomic level, 1% change you can make today to cast a vote for the person you want to become? Because that single, small step, that's where the whole journey begins.